Hello, everybody. It's Lenny Murphy with another edition of the CEO series. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day to spend it with me and my guest. And has been the trend lately, talking to people that I've never spoken to before, and it's really cool and exciting. And we're going to continue that today. So I am joined by Prayag Narula, the founder of Hey Marvin. Prayag, welcome.
I am very happy to be here. Thank you for having me, Lenny.
Well, let's see if you. Everybody says that, and I always say, "Well, let's see if you think that."
So I say it in the big name,
right? I mean, at the end, you may say, "Oh my God, that was the worst."
What did Lenny get me into?
But based on our pre-show conversation, I think that we'll both enjoy it, and I think our audience will as well. So. With that said, why don't you tell us kind of your origin story, and then we can talk about Hey Marvin, and then we can get into other fun stuff.
Awesome. So my origin story, I do need to start with Hey Marvin, which is a research repository, and what we do. We can talk about that in a minute. But I'm CEO of and co-founder of Hey Marvin, research repository centralizing all of your research and insights. And my background is in research, and we were talking about, Lenny, how a lot of people in our space stumble into this space, and I did too. My background was in computer science, and then I was doing a lot of CS research, and then I understood and found out something called HCI, human computer interaction, and that got me into design research, and that became my life for good 5-6 years. Went to grad school actually at Berkeley, not very far from where I live now. And then I started this business that was in the business of like HCI, design research, and that kind of somehow found myself in marketing tech, and I ran that company for about 8-9 years, and then once I left that business, I wanted to get back to my roots. It's like, as we were joking, I wanted to start something in the research space, and that's because I always felt that that's my home. That's kind of going to be my life's work. Nobody starts company in this space to get rich. It's like it's you do this too because you love the space. It's because you love the community, and that's kind of what led into Hey Marvin. A lot of what we do came from the challenges I faced at my previous organization. I was trying to access all of the wonderful research, all of the wonderful customer feedback that across our board, across everyone in our company was doing, not just research team and not just product team, but across the board. We were always talking to customers, and I felt all of that was research, and I somehow had so much trouble getting access to it, and that's the problem I wanted to solve, and that's kind of what was the origin of Hey Marvin, and 4.5 years later, we're still here.
Yeah. Now, I also have to ask where the name. Naming a company, for anybody who doesn't know, if you haven't experienced this, naming a company is probably the single hardest piece of starting a company, really. So, Hey Marvin, give me the inspiration for that.
I am so glad you asked that question, Lenny. I know we didn't talk about it in a pre-conversation, but so Hey Marvin is named after Marvin the robot from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Okay. The little robot logo. I should have.
Yes, that's okay. Exactly right. And it's kind of an obscure reference, even though it's a very popular book series. They even made a movie that didn't do super well. Yeah. But keeping in, like, we actually talked to some of my branding friends, and they were like, look, like you said, like, naming is going to be, you cannot market research your way to a good name, right? It has to come from your heart. So I started this company with my brother. My co-founder is my brother. So I was talking to him. I was like, hey, I like this Marvin the robot. I always thought that was such a funny, such an amazing character. Yeah, and he's like, oh, that character also inspired the Paranoid Android song by one of his favorite band, Radiohead. So he had found kinship. He's like, oh, I know about this. And I'm like, yeah. So that's kind of how the name Marvin stuck. And Hey Marvin is we it's the first line of the movie that, as I said, it's not a great movie, but it's like starts with Hey Marvin. So I'm like, that's a great name. So Hey Marvin.
Oh, very cool. All right, we're going to go off on a geek tangent just for a second. As a geek, proud. I love how there are so many great companies that are inspired by science fiction and fantasy, right? I mean, Palantir, and Anduril from The Lord of the Rings, Grok,
right.
Stranger in a Strange Land.
Right.
There's something called Babelfish that does automatic translations.
Translation, Babelfish from Hitchhiker's Guide to the
also
Galaxy.
Hitchhiker's, yes. So the geek shall inherit the earth. I think is the correct translation of that biblical passage now. And anyway.
I love it. No, I love talking to fellow geeks. There was a lot of the problem with being a geek is when you're asked to name something, you come up with like, oh, what lore do I want?
right. Like Anduril or Palantir,
do I want a Lord of the Rings? Do I want like ancient Greek? That's what I was like. I want to get ancient Greek name because I was reading about the Greek mythology and saying,
yes. Although I do have to say I really, the appropriateness of Grok particularly, to know something in its totality. It's like, all right, that's probably the most appropriate name I have seen from a geek standpoint, where it's like, yes, that fits. Although Hey Marvin,
in
there's
computer science though, Grok, I don't know if you know this, one of the things, even before Grok came, one of the more popular ways of saying, oh, I can learn this, or I learned this, or I know this, is like, do you Grok it?
Do you Grok it?
So,
yes.
And then there's a Linux command called Grok that also like does searches. So it's a long history.
Shortly after Google launched, there actually was a search engine called Grok.
Right.
And it was very visual. I mean, it was very ahead of its time. So anyway, all right, we'll come back to that.
We just keep talking about this. Why bother with market research?
It's understanding our personas,
exactly.
what drives us.
Exactly.
All right, so you started in research and you had a little tangent off into Martech, came back to research, and you solved problems that you wanted to solve.
Exactly.
And the and absolutely right, to bring down the silos, to synthesize all the information. I love that that you've used a broad stroke on what is data, what is information, that can help derive insights and put all that in one place. Then along came, well, step back. Along came AI, is what I was going to say. There were lots of companies that were emerging, to be platforms and knowledge management and et cetera, et cetera. And with the launch of ChatGPT, one of my first thoughts was, oh, crap, right? Now, those businesses are going to face some challenges now, because the very nature of what LLMs can do. However, it seems as if that since that point, we've seen that context is king, right? In understanding the right information and building these solutions that are bespoke, that are built for the business purposes, that may be powered by AI. And I expect there's an awful lot of AI that's underneath Hey Marvin. But that really is the differentiator, is not just, throw in this, you have this one tool that sure it can do a lot, but it doesn't mean it does it right or well or contextually accurate for your customers. So did I just do your sales pitch for you on
you can come to my next sales event anytime.
So but talk about that, right? You say you launched in, I think, 2020. Also a great time to launch a business, all right?
Right. So we actually started in 2020, end of 2020, and we launched in 2022. So about
Okay. Well, right.
Started
Sorry.
working in 2020, 2021. Yeah.
All right. So we get to you're building the business during the pandemic, and then along
Yes.
comes AI.
Right. That's exactly what happened. The funny part is, I don't know if we talked about it. Our first investor, the person who led the first round in the business, and also I think still now the biggest outside shareholder is a gentleman named Samuel Altman or Sam Altman.
All right. I've heard of that. I've
So
heard of that guy.
yeah,
Interesting guy.
yeah, exactly. So no, I love Sam. I've known him for like over a decade at this point, right? And I think I've always had deeper respect for him. And I think, and I don't honestly, I don't think it, I think it was just because we just knew each other. We'd worked together before. He'd been an investor in my previous company, and that's kind of where that relationship. And it was kind of a quick, just like, hey, I'm starting this company. This is the idea. What do you think? And like next morning, like, yeah, that sounds good. Let's talk and figure out the terms. And that's kind of, it was as simple as that.
It's good to
So
have friends like that.
yeah, you would be surprised though, because when we were doing a launch press, this was before, or this was like before ChatGPT has launched, like right before ChatGPT has launched. And I was talking to the reporter, and I was telling about like our investors, and I was like, well, an investor is a gentleman named Sam Altman. And she's like, Sam Altman? I have heard of that. Is that like the guy that left Y Combinator? Like, like that like investor type, and he's also running some lab. I'm like, yeah. He's like, oh, I'll need to do byline on that because nobody knows who Sam is. So,
Right. Right.
which is true. Like, she was absolutely right. Nobody knew back then, like other than like a few people in the industry.
Isn't
People
that
didn't know
funny? And now they're
Sam.
like Bono, right? You're like Elon, Sam, Peter, I mean,
Exactly. No. So I think we were always, even in the beginning, even before AI was launched. So we are AI native, which means that when we quickly, right, as we launched, we were already building with AI, and then we were. I think we were the first company in our space to really take the value of AI and built it into our product. And I think one of the things that I've always I think there has always been a technological challenge, because of which research has always been an activity or a function, but not a strategic resource, right? And I think that's one of the challenges I see with research is we are always kind of imagine if an alien comes to the comes to Earth, and we're like, hey, there's this function that knows everything about your customers, your market, your competitors, like pricing, like where would that function, like how important do you think that function is? They'll be like, oh, that function needs to sit right beside the CEO, right? Like the CEO should be talking. That has never really been the case. I think the first time in a long time, I think we have this ability to turn research, whether that's market research or user research or UX research, whatever kind of research we're doing, to turn it into this evergreen source of insights that the entire team can rely on as part of their decision-making process.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what's fueling our growth. That's, I think, what's fueling a lot of investment in the research space. And I think we are at a fundamental shift in terms of what research is going to look like in the next decade.
So you can now come to my next event, and because I can say that because I agree, and I think I have actually talking to one of my advisory clients earlier today, and it occurred to me that this vision of data synthesis, obviously we've been talking about forever, right? We thought big data would deliver that for us,
Right.
and it was the 3 V's of big data, right? Variety, velocity. I forget what the third V was. But we didn't have a technology that really unlocked that synthesis. And now creates that utility. And it occurred to me that rather than 3 V's now, I think we're dealing with the 3 U's. So you hear it here first, audience. I'm coining a term. And in my mind, it was uniqueness, usability, and utility. And from a brand standpoint, from a buyer, a CEO perspective, it's that utility. That's the unlock, right? So we have all these unique data sets, and it sounds like Hey Marvin, is able to incorporate that. This is, customer feedback. This is, survey, qualitative, whatever, right? We're putting all in there. And the usability is it fit for purpose? So, right, does it answer the question? Have the right data variables to answer the question. The utility is that now we combine that, right? We combine that with other sources, and that's where the business value is. And unless you were, the best example I always used was P&G, right? P&G had these war rooms. So they recognize data as competitive differentiator. So that's why they spend $1 billion a year on research. And they were early in trying to make this all accessible, but it was a big pain in the ass, right? I mean, it was expensive, it was hard, it was still, like, well, here's our competitive intelligence, here's the research, and the problem that you're solving and are getting value is that not only are you allowing bringing out those silos, bring it together, but also it's not just limited to the P&Gs of the world.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
So,
and it's, yeah. And honestly, I think, we work primarily with enterprises, and you would be surprised how many enterprises kind of have that challenge, because I wasn't there when P&G built this up, but I'm assuming it took them years to kind of build up a practice like this. It was a massive effort, and here is another thing that I think even somebody like P&G with such a $1 billion investment missed out. I think there is a lot of value. So we talk about research with a capital R, right? Like whenever we talk about research, we talk about big projects we are doing, big studies we are doing, big vendors we are working with. But if you think about it, right, there are so many teams in our org that are interacting with our market, our customers, even our community every day.
Yes,
and
more and more.
More and more. Exactly. And there is more and more channels on which this interaction is happening, right? Like, it's not in just the customer advisory board anymore. It's also happening on forums. It's happening on it's happening in app store. It's happening I love whenever I go to the airport and I get my boarding pass from those checkout machines, there's always hey, what was your interaction like today? And I always fill those out, because I'm like, oh, there is somebody there who's actually relying on me filling these out. So I'm one of those people who sitting there typing out my comment of what could be better, right? Okay. But the point being, we are constantly interacting with our audience, and that is real data. That is data that you might not call it research with a capital R, but that is a valuable pieces of feedback and information and data set that we have not been able to use, because when we talk about the scale, but that's the richest, thickest data set that we have, and because we had so much of it, we never utilized it. And I think thanks to AI, that becomes accessible to everybody in the org as well. And within, there's always privacy and all of that. And I think that's the value add of a company like ours, or or AI in general, is being able to combine the research that we've always thought of as research with the data that we never kind of thought of as oh, this is valuable, insightful data, and combining those together. I think that's where the power lies.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And the mentioned in our kind of pre-show chat, we do the grit survey, and we're about to release the newest wave of that, and we had seen a few trends over the past few years. One of the expanded users of market research that were not sitting in the market research organization. So
Right.
product, brand, marketing, they were primary buyers of research focused around their specific areas. And that just continues to grow. To the point where I actually am not sure that there was going to be a research organization the way we have thought about it in the past. I think there's likely to be a very distributed research function aligned to specific orgs in the business that are relevant: competitive intelligence, usability, product design, usability, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
I think we're heading there.
Right.
And the other great unlock, and you kind of hinted at this earlier, for many years as DIY and then automation overall started to emerge, we thought that we would see this great shift from the functional role to move from being process driven to strategy oriented. And we didn't see it. We just saw more process, right? The technology up till now, you just were able to do more of the same stuff, right? And I'm not sure when this is going to be published, probably after the release of the Grit report. So for the first time, we see that changing. So, and that is one of those unlocks from platforms like Hey Marvin and other solutions, is that we are not so bogged down with managing process, and so we can manage insights. That I love that research with capital R, from multiple sources to be able to drive new value and utility. So we're preaching to the choir.
Right.
That's not even a future state. That is a rapidly emerging current state, obviously, because that's the business that you're in, is powering that.
No, that's the step. That's the expectation now. I think a lot of CEOs I know, or execs I know, are asking question like, hey, what can we do with AI? And one of the first answers that they come up with is like, hey, I have all this data. How can I unlock value from this dominant data? And I think the teams that are raising their hands be like, hey, we can help you. Our research team, whether it's market research, design research, product research, those.
Yep. I mean, even for a company like Greenbook, right? That's fundamentally a publisher, but we have lots of content, and therefore we have lots of data, and it's very specialized. It's about, we have these podcasts, we have the Grit report, we have blah blah blah. We have all these data sources, and we are unlocking new value. We build our own agent, and we're putting that out there. And it's not just to answer; it's not just better search. It's to leverage the information that we have. So a CEO like you going, hey, I wonder what other CEOs are saying about how they're adopting AI, right? And we have this massive asset that we can go in and, okay, well, and like anything else, I'm going to build a persona. I want to build a persona of buyers of research that sit in, the product organizations, because we have that data, we have that information. And so that unlock of utility, of value creation, is just intrinsic now. It's table stakes.
100%.
Yeah.
I think we talked about, this is what we're talking about in the pre-interview chat as well. We're talking about knowledge management, and I think this unlock goes beyond knowledge management. It's not like, hey, I can search my published reports better, or I can search my vendor output better. It's actually like, hey, I can combine that with these unique data sets and come up with completely new insights that might not have been unlocked if I didn't have the technology. That would have been so
augmentation and enablement.
Exactly.
And that spurs whole new thinking. Right? Sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you, Prayag. I'm getting all excited as we're
That's good.
There's a different dimension of our geekiness now that is manifesting. And is that so? To that point, what I believe, there's certainly a valid concern that the more we use existing information, the less the volume of primary research, or the primary research volume decreases. I would say that is almost inevitable.
Right.
Of course it is.
Right.
But the importance of new research increases exponentially.
100%.
And that process, that is the process we're looking at. That's what we used to think of as secondary research, right? Okay, well, now we go here first and we explore concepts and we ideate and we do some of those things with existing, we answer those questions from the existing data. And then we shift to, okay, there's a lot we don't know. So, and then we go forward with new studies. So is Hey Marvin part of that enablement process as well of not just unlocking value creation with existing information, but then also prompting and saying, okay, here's the gaps. Now let's go conduct new research.
100%. Yeah. And that's, look, you cannot do one without the other if you're going to become like, true source of knowledge for an organization. And there are two aspects to this. One is what you're saying, which is really important, Lenny. This idea that, not every information is going to be available in your database, in your AI models, right? Like, so what do you need to do kind of two things. One is you want to make it really easy for people to contribute data and have that data be accessible to the AI model so that they can use this new data, right? And it needs to be accessible across the board. So there is this democratization of not just data read, but data write as well, right? That's something that so we help with that. We can we help with, if you have vendors, we'll work with the vendors. If you have your team that's conducting research, we have all these agents that's going to make them a lot faster, a lot quicker, a lot more detailed, and while spending less time. So you can get like more output spending less time. So we have a bunch of agents. We have one agent that can just like go and talk to your participants completely autonomously, and kind of just go and like the AI is gonna just ask questions and show, and it's gonna show designs, gonna show you some mind map, and it's very cool concept. So and so that's a really big part. Those agents are a really big part of our value proposition. And one of the reasons that you have to provide them, other than the fact that that you will always need new data, you cannot just rely on existing research, is you want to give people reasons to why this database should be updated, right?
Sure.
Why should it keep getting updated? It's like, because I will, even if I am a vendor, or if I am a contractor, or if I'm like a junior person or an intern, the reason I should add my data is not because I care about this repository, not because I care about keeping the database updated. I do this because it makes my job better. It makes me do more with less. And
right.
That's the motivation, because you have to kind of, you cannot always lead from like, it's going to make everybody better. It's for the greater good. The greater good goes only so far. So you have to really be like, it's going to make you better, make you look better. And almost a side effect of that, this data, the data keeps getting updated. So
yeah,
that's one of the kind of the big reasons why we have all these agents. I don't think we can do one or the other. And I think that's what we have gotten wrong in the past as an industry, is this idea that like, we'll centralize everything and that's the holy grail. Well, yes, maybe if you do the heavy lift and do it once, but like you have to have a distributed responsibility for everyone to keep adding new data sets, and you do that by appealing to more base desire of doing, just like going home a little bit early and spending a little more time with the family. And that's so much better than like, do it because like do this extra work because it's going to help the organization 2 years from now. That just doesn't work.
Yeah, no, I love that thinking, that it's because it adds, it's value creation. Right. I'm across the board. Data.
Exactly.
data is the new oil, right? Of course, and we're all wells.
Right.
Uh,
All wells of data. That's
we're, yeah,
that's
we
right.
are,
Yeah.
we are.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
the internet's the pipelines, and companies like Hey Marvin are the refineries. Anyway, we don't have to
It
go through
works.
that.
It works at multiple levels. This
It
analogy
it
definitely works. Yeah.
it does. It does. All right. So loving the conversation. You and I think we could geek out about all this for quite some time. I don't know if the butts of our audience will adhere to that though. So lessons learned. So you started a business during the pandemic, during
Yeah.
a period of disruption.
Mhm.
Um, kind of distill what you've learned as a CEO. The challenges, opportunities, surprises, wisdom, whatever you would like to share with other folks.
Look, I think it is probably not. I would not be overstating that this is the most um and disruptive is probably the right word, or most like change oriented times, at least in my career. Like I've not seen things change this quickly in the
One,
last 15 years that I've been
no,
here.
no.
And it's getting, and it's kind of almost scary because it's getting like faster. And it's getting overwhelming. I think across the board, it's getting overwhelming. And I live and breathe this space, and I live for this space, and I love this space. And it's getting overwhelming for me too.
Yeah,
Um, so I think the one thing I've learned is like it is only natural to feel overwhelmed. It is only natural to feel like you're not gonna be able to keep up. Um, and it's like giving you the permission to be like, look, things are changing, and I'm gonna just like try my best. And I do it from the reason of like, hey, I don't want to do. I'm doing this because I like the community and I like the space and I like my work, rather than I want to be like, I want to make $1 million, or I want to be like, I want to ride this wave of AI. I think those are just the wrong motivation. So doing it for the right motivation is going to help keep you grounded in the times that are like, completely changing. I think that's number one. I hope there are like, a lot of managers and CEOs that are listening, and I would say like, remote work is a wonderful thing. I know there is a lot of big movement towards like back to office.
mm-hmm.
We never went back to office. We started remotely. We are continue to be remotely. Our company is distributed across the globe. And I will say, I think I get the best work out of my people when they are relaxed, when they can spend time they know they can spend time with the family, when they know that they have the flexibility of, hey, I can take my daughter to the dentist today, as long as I get my work done later during
Right.
the evening, and I don't have somebody like watching over me. So
Yeah.
I know that I'm going counter to what a lot of like tech and Twitter is saying, like let your people work from home, give them the flexibility. I think that's one, especially in
Yeah.
the time that are like, massively changing, kind of giving that flexibility would be really, really helpful. So couple of learnings, like, doing it for the right, and they go hand in hand. If you trust your people, they are going to do things for the right reasons, and that means that they're not going to be kind of lost in this groundswell of innovation that we are seeing. And it's a good thing overall. This innovation is a good thing. It's going to make all of us a lot more strategic in our role, and but it is also very normal to feel overwhelmed.
Yeah. Definitely wisdom. And I want to chime in on a couple things you said. One, I've worked from home now for 20 years.
Mhm.
And every company I've ever built has been entirely virtual.
Right.
So I could not agree more with you. The And especially, I think that it gets, if one of the effects of technological change, particularly AI, is that process is not nearly as important. Well, I shouldn't say that. Obviously, process is important, but process is now being done a different way, and it's more on impact. the more roles are focused on impact, and that's the value creation. Yeah, what the hell does that have to do with being in a central location? Now, there's obviously broader implications, and it's not for some businesses, manufacturing, yada yada. But for any service-based business or technology-based business,
knowledge-based,
any knowledge workers, they focus on what's important, and what's important is impact, and unlocking that. So I'm going to echo that for all of the other leaders that are listening. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Actually, as we're speaking right this minute, so my son-in-law, so I live in 2.5 years ago, we bought a small farm in South Central Kentucky. So middle of nowhere.
Oh, wow.
My neighbors are Amish. Okay. My second oldest daughter and her husband moved with us. They have a house on our property. They have their own house. And my son-in-law did tech support. And great, because we're in the middle of nowhere, right? So he did virtual export. Got laid off this morning.
I'm sorry, man.
No, it'd be okay. Point is, it brings up an interesting point that he will likely now have to face the choice of potentially going back into an office. And if he stays in IT tech support, why? Right. What's the point of that? So
what's the point of that?
So it's just an interesting time juxtaposition. And all that. Anyway,
don't listen to the Twitter world is what my message is, and it's your message is too. Like trust your team. Yes. And it's gonna help us get through this time of immense change.
Absolutely. Anything that you want to touch on that we did not touch
on? No, I'm. If anybody wants to check out Hey Marvin, we are heymarvin.com. I hope it's okay to say that.
Yeah, absolutely.
We are a bunch of people like me. We love the space of research. We are very geeky. And if anybody wants to talk about research, I'm always available. And I love this stuff. This is my life's work.
And it's obvious. And it's integrate when something it's not just your job, but it's kind of your avocation. And I think those of us who come into this, it becomes that. It becomes our application.
Yeah, no, it's the best. That's the best part about this field is people do this for the love of it. As we said in the beginning, right? Like nobody gets into research to make the big bucks. It's go to finance for that. It's legal for that.
Or maybe not in the future.
Or maybe not anymore. Who knows?
Become an electrician.
Exactly.
Excuse me. Where can people find you?
I am active on LinkedIn. Prayag Narula is my. I am also on X, even though I don't post much. Prayag N is my handle there. But LinkedIn is actually connect me. Search on LinkedIn for my name. I post a lot there. I love it. We have a nice community going of people. And I post some spicy stuff. So hopefully people would come and like. It's not everything that you would agree with, so I hope people can find us and we can have a chat.
Yeah, that's a whole other conversation we won't get into. I have a love-hate relationship with LinkedIn right this minute. So but I've been there since the inception.
Yeah, pretty much.
And I was just really happy with LinkedIn as my business networking. There's other aspects that's like that's just not. If I want to voice opinions, I do that on Twitter, right? That's my that's for me, right?
Right.
Personal opinion. Right. So I'm glad that you're making it spicy, but don't be shocked if I don't engage, because I just have like this. Can it just be this, kind of thing?
Say that, man. Just like, can it just be this? Like,
maybe I should. Anyway, Prag, thank you so much. It's been a great conversation. Very cool to hear about Hey Marvin, and hope that we see much more of you and of the platform as you grow and succeed from here. Any final words?
No, I think I said it's thank you for having me. I love the conversation. Hopefully we can keep talking, if not on this podcast, but offline. So,
Absolutely. On that note, once I stop the recording, hang on for a second. But that is going to be it for this edition of the CEO series. Thank you, Prayag. Thank you to our listeners. Thank you to our producers, our sponsors, and we'll sign off now. Thanks a lot. Everybody take care. Bye-bye.
thank you, everyone.